virus, it spreads like wildfire.
Welcome to Canadian Doctors Speak Out. We're going to give you the top reasons not to be afraid of COVID. When we hear the word COVID or coronavirus, we now instinctively reach for a mask or look around to see how we can protect ourselves and our families. No place really seems safe. But as Canadian medical doctors, we're going to tell you what the best science now has to say. And we think you'll be pleasantly surprised. On the TV, we hear cases, which would frighten anyone. But cases are not necessarily symptomatic people. And the vast majority have few or really no symptoms of being sick. They just have a positive PCR swab test. Research now shows that the PCR test is practically worthless. Only 3% of patients with a positive test actually have the COVID virus. Here's a graph showing the COVID cases reported each week in Canada. Even I get frightened looking at this graph. But now let's put the weekly deaths on the same chart. Where are all the deaths that we would expect to follow the cases curve? Something is really fishy here. Let's look at yearly deaths in Canada from 2001. It's pretty hard to show that we've even had a pandemic. The slight increase in 2020 was probably due to an aging population.
We have heard a lot about how children are COVID super spreaders. Terrified, we have shut down our schools, covered our children's beautiful faces with masks, but the science shows that none of this is warranted, and they're not the drivers of the pandemic.
Canada took a dramatic move toward legitimately dangerous authoritarianism. In Canada, yes. Here's just one measure of it. On Monday, the country's Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, outlined his government's new corona regulation. Canadians hoping to return to their country must be tested before and after takeoff, he said. Quote, if your test results come back positive, you'll need to immediately quarantine in designated government facilities. This is not optional. Designated government facilities. Now, when this happens in other countries, and it does, we call those facilities internment camps.
Just filed in the Ontario Superior Court. It's a constitutional challenge of the federal government's policy requiring incoming travelers to quarantine at their own cost at government-contracted hotels. The cost is upwards of $2,000 per traveler, and in most cases, the cost is non-refundable, even if your results from your PCR test arrive within even a matter of hours. We're bringing this legal challenge as a public interest organization, but quarantine hotel policy, in our view, is exploitive and punitive at a cost of over $2,000 per traveler. And in fact, it actually exposes many travelers to even greater risk than they would be exposed to had they just returned to their own home.
The pitfalls of coming home to a quarantine.
That's not what I signed up for when I came back to Canada, and I did everything by the book.
The woman had a confirmed reservation and agreed to pay more than $1,000 for the mandatory quarantine package. But when the reserved room wasn't ready and other hotels were booked, she was sent by bus to a government-controlled one.
I said, where am I? And they said, we can't tell you. And I said, why can't you tell me where I am? And they said, we're not supposed to tell anybody.
Looks like the police have formed a cordon to keep people from taking pictures.
We're taking things that are, genetically modified organisms, and we're injecting them in little kids' arms. We just shoot them right into the vein.
I've basically just been waiting to get the vaccine so that I can feel safe going out.
Things like that, which kind of suits my personality. I like it that way. Yeah.
And that's fair.
News, not agenda, and we do that by interviewing new media-focused journalists and others who tell stories the legacy media won't touch. And our guests tonight are Norbert and Odessa Orlowicz. I hope I pronounced your name right. You're not quite journalists, but you are community activists. You are business people. You are owner administrators of the Librti Network, a glorious and free social community which connects people that value the free flow of information, critical thinking, and individual liberty, which quite frankly makes you good folks where I come from. So welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jack.
Tell us about your background and why you're doing what you're doing.
You want to start?
It never occurred to me I'd ever be doing this. I had a business for 13 years, staffing staff for events. So sort of like a temp agency, but it's just, 4 hours here, 6 hours there at all sorts of live events. I did that for 13 years. As well, I was a professional dancer. I toured with Disney for quite a while. I did all the cruise ships, and I was a professional choreographer for film and TV here in Vancouver in a lot of the big movies you see. So I did that for a long time, and I had to hang up my dancing shoes because of a lot of different injuries. So I had that other business. I eventually got tired of it and sold it. And I ran another company briefly out of my home, but the COVID pretty much shut down the money-making part of it. That's okay. Once I realized that we are being lied to, because I'm an avid reader of truth, I was extremely scared for my kids when about a year and a half ago, Trudeau said we may mandate when we get a vax. And I just was, what? No, that's not right. Something woke up inside of me. And for the first time ever in my life, I took a sign that said, my kids are not a lab rat for Bill Gates. I went down to the second protest that was happening in Vancouver. I showed up and ended up doing a YouTube channel to try to wake people up.
And you guys are still working on that together to this day, is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. Well, she started her YouTube channel initially, and I was busy with my career, my business that I run. I've been an entrepreneur for about 14, 15 years now, specifically in online marketing. I'm a teacher, trainer, speaker. Spoken all around the world on internet marketing and entrepreneurship. So I've always been a huge proponent of freedom. I work with people and help them to create their own financial freedom by taking control of their finances and not being dependent on the government and a job to pay the bills. And that seems to be more relevant now than ever, because the clients that I've had a chance to work with over the last 14 years, thousands of them all around the world, they've been able to secure their finances during this crazy time, while so many people are suffering now, especially with these mandates coming out. It's just incredible what's happening to our society. And when I saw what Odessa was starting with her show, and I was seeing all the comments coming in, I realized really quickly that people were feeling very isolated, and we needed a way to bring people together so that they didn't feel so alone, because it seemed like we were such a minority, the people that had some common sense and could see through the BS propaganda on media. And so with that, I decided to build a community, an online community, because I've been involved in building communities online and online marketing, social media, that kind of stuff. And so we started out in October of 2020, I guess it was, October 2020, with a beta test for about 3 months. I was lucky enough to, within the first week, meet a developer here locally in Vancouver who had the same vision, same values as we shared. And we partnered up with him, and he helped us to build what is now Librti.com, which was originally LibertyNetwork.ca. Both links still work if you're looking for it. But Librti.com is the social platform that we've created to help build community, help bring organizations and people together with communication, so that we can still share information that might be censored on the big tech platforms.
And that's fair. My understanding of what's going on is that Librti is one of the biggest networks in Canada doing that sort of a job. Can you tell us about some of the people you work with on Librti, some of the people you work with in the past, some of the projects you're working on, and what you've learned from them?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Des, do you want to start first? Because she's the one that really built the contacts initially. She got really involved in the activism here in Vancouver and made the majority of the contacts initially. I was kind of a little slower to get started.
Okay.
So he and Roman built the social media site. I have nothing to do with that. I can barely find a power button. But what happened? The people I've worked with, my favorite people that I've interviewed are Rosa Quarry, God bless her soul, she's passed away now. Judy Mikovits, Carrie Madej. I've got to interview police. Gosh, all sorts of people, politicians. I had the honor of interviewing Maxime Bernier. So I've gotten to know some really cool people. But then what was really great for me to discover was Action for Canada, Tanya Gaw, when I went downtown, and I really wanted to help her fundraise for her constitutional challenge against the BC Health Authority and the government here, and which was filed today, excitingly enough, it's filed. So I helped her fundraise through my show, through Librti, and I just got to know so many people that felt the same. And, you know, Laura Lynn, she took me under her wing, Laura Lynn Tyler Thompson, and inspired me just to go on and tell the truth. So, I mean, I have great contacts now. I mean, I'm helping Police on Guard for Thee, and who else?
Yeah, so we've worked really to help bring organizations together, and that's what I'm really excited about now, is we've kind of formed this hub, and we're able to connect with so many different organizations and leaders. One of the most recent projects that I had the pleasure of being a part of to get off the ground is the Freedom Rising initiative, freedomrising.info, which you can check out the website. That was a project initiated by Ted Coons and a small team that I was a part of as well, where we brought together we've got over 100 organizations that we've been able to bring together on that website, freedomrising.info. But more importantly than the website is we're actually having what's going to be now weekly and regular meetings, bringing organizations together, creating more collaboration. Because that was one of the first things that I saw, a year ago, is I saw all these activists, all these different organizations doing incredible work, but everyone seemed to be running around like, with a chicken with their head cut off. Right?
And no one's comparing information or anything.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of, doubling up on a lot of the work that organizations were doing. And so organizing, coming together, collaborating, sharing ideas, sharing resources. We've talked about this with you as well, Chuck. I think this is really what's going to be so important as we move forward into the next few months and in the next year, is we have to find a way to work together. One of the challenges in this movement is there are many different personalities with that comes egos, right?
Yes.
Many different ideas for how to solve these problems, political, legal, petition, civil disobedience. And our philosophy has always been is that it takes all of those things. And we value every single leader, personality, and influencer in this movement. Every single person has a role. Every single person serves a purpose. And we just love everybody that's a part of this movement. We really are we like to be people who bring people together and like to look at the things that we share in common and figure out how we can best work together.
That sounds wonderful. You provided me with a little bit of an overview of the philosophy you're using to put together the Librti Network. Can you tell me a little bit about the technical tools? I always wanted to have somebody on here sponsoring a technological company, and you can inspire me by telling us the tools you use to make Librti work.
All right. Well, I'm going to do my best because I'm more of the marketing CEO part of the company.
Okay.
Whereas Roman is really the technical genius behind it.
And it's hell. Let's not kid ourselves. It's hell for him every day.
For Roman, yes, It is. Yeah. But I'll give you a brief overview, some brief insights. We use an open source code that he's developed and modified for the social media platform. The hosting is all offshore. The domains are secured offshore as well. We did a lot of research trying to find good hosting companies and domain registrars that protect freedom and protect liberty. I've got contacts across North America and in Europe as well. who we're actually masterminding. I've got a meeting next week looking at different payment solutions, different companies that are working in the freedom movement to help us overcome some of the challenges that we have. So this open source code, we also work very hard to make sure that we do not interface with any type of big tech platforms. So as an internet marketer, I've always been a big fan of Google Analytics and Facebook advertising, because as a marketer, you can do so much with those tools. But as a freedom activist, we want no part of any of that big tech. So we do not integrate in any way with Google products, no way with Facebook or any of the big tech social media platforms. We don't integrate with Microsoft. In fact, they already blacklisted our IP. So you can't even register with a Microsoft email address or website. Yeah, which is whatever, no big problem. Go get another email, get a Gmail, or preferably get, a Proton mail, something a little more secure. That's what we encourage people to do. So yeah, we've done a lot of work to really make sure that we're detached from these platforms, that we are offshore. So we've tried to do as much as we possibly can to secure the platform, make sure it's private, and make sure that we're protected for as long as possible until we see what kind of bills Trudeau and the gang pass.
And that's perfectly sensible. You've also made lots of hints about you're primarily a marketing person. So I feel really foolish if I didn't ask you about the marketing that goes into getting a system like Librti up and running. What do you have to do in that area?
Well, honestly, I have had not enough time and focus to be able to work on the marketing, because I still run my other company, and I'm a bit of a creator. So that means I have a ton of ideas every single day, and not enough time to execute on all of them. So I'm working on multiple projects all the time. So unfortunately, I haven't been able to do the kind of marketing that I would love to do for the platform. So honestly, she's the one that's responsible for initially building the membership. The audience that she was able to build from Librti Talk Canada was our initial membership. And then through word of mouth and through their ability to share and their excitement about the platform is really how we've built the membership. Now we're focused on partnering with organizations and supporting different groups and organizations. So we've got Vaccine Choice on there. We've got Action for Canada on there, Police on Guard on there, a whole bunch of different organizations that are coming on board. And as they create content, that content is being pushed out and it's bringing more and more members in. So it's kind of, rolling off on its own right now. It's going to be a lot of word of mouth.
Yeah, one of the biggest ones recently was the Dr. David Martin that Ted Kuntz did. And because Ted can't put this on any of the other platforms, the Bill Gates platforms, it got a lot of views through Librti. Now, a lot of people came through my show because we say join Librti, because I'm censored all the time. My shows, I just got a 2-week boot again on YouTube for something I did 4 months ago. Yeah. So as soon as I announced on YouTube that Rocco Galati had filed the case against the government, they went and found something in one of my episodes that was misinformation, which it wasn't. So I always tell people, I'm going to get the boot. You have to go to librti.com/Odessa, join. So people are joining there finally. But I have to say, we did hire a woman named Dion, and she's really she's in charge of reaching out to organizations to tell them about our network, because a lot of people at first are like, no, I don't really need it. And then as people get censored and their channels get taken down, that's when the phone rings. Maybe I will come over there.
The great thing about our platform, so like, for instance, this video from Vaccine Choice with David E. Martin, they got hundreds of thousands of views on BitChute, which is great. What the selling point of our platform is that it is a Canadian focus, right? So if you've got Canadian content, if you're a Canadian influencer or producer of content, we want to feature you on Librti. The idea, the goal is that Canadians could go to librti.com/videos, and all of the best voices and influencers of Canada could be featured there. Because on BitChute, you've got so much American content there, international content, which is great, but a lot of the Canadian voices kind of get lost in that mix. Here, if you want to get Canadian content, it's Canadian content featured with our best influencers.
In fact, when I first started the show, Norb said, do you want to add Canada to it? Because don't you want it to be sort of a lot of Americans see it, and it'd be better to be Liberty Talk, just Liberty Talk. And I was so desperate for Canadians to know what's going on. I said, no, I want to name Liberty Talk Canada. I don't care if people around the world are like, oh, it's just Canadian, because I wanted to tell them what our government was doing, the truth they're not telling you. Our media is so censored that I needed Canadians to understand what's going on. And so I'd give the information, I'd read scientific articles and doctors that weren't being allowed to speak on Global and CTV. So Liberty Talk Canada, it attracted Canadians, which is what I want, because we need to know what the truth is.
No, I agree with that 100%. At this point, I'd like to actually show a sample of your work, some of the things that have been posted on the Liberty Network. Ed, I think we have a link up in the private chat. Could we play 2 or 3 minutes from that? Norb, I think you suggested the link to us. Can you just give us a quick outline of what's going to be on it?
Yeah, so I guess this is the one from the Liberty show. So Odessa has her Liberty Talk Canada, which she features on liberty.com. And then we started our own weekly show, liberty.com/show, every Tuesday. And our focus with that show is to try to focus on solutions and bring on different people in the movement across Canada that are working on solutions. So here we were interviewing Carrie Simpson with the 300k.ca campaign.
Ed, could we run the link? Ed, there we go.
Derek Sloan, he didn't get his party organized in time to be on the ballot, but I think he has a good message out there for Canadians. So it's going to be very interesting to see, but we deal in reality, and the reality that's pointing at us right now is that if people want to have Canada free, sovereign, autonomy over their own health, autonomy over their right to engage freely and free speech and expression, at this point, there's only one party, and that's Maxime Bernier. Of course, he's not going to fit the bill for everybody on every issue at this point, but I do believe he offers the best political direction to make those things happen right now. That could change, but that's our, and I've asked, Carrie, split vote. The vote will not be split. We will be very clear in who people should vote for.
Yeah. Sorry, Roman, just really quickly on that whole split vote issue. That I laugh every time my mom says that too, because she's been a conservative voter all her life, right? And she says that too, and like, Mom, there is no split vote. If you vote for the Conservatives, you've wasted your vote. I mean, O'Toole has no chance in winning. The Conservatives have no chance in winning because so many Conservatives are just disgusted at that party. So her vote for the Conservatives is a losing vote anyway. So you might as well vote on principle and on values and actually make a statement in this country, right?
Absolutely. And this is this unique opportunity for this extraordinary event. Be part of the extraordinary. Be part of saving Canada. Be part of building a healthy nation that once again reclaims what made us so amazing as a nation to live in. Everywhere I go, immigrants. I was at an event last Saturday, and a couple had moved here from the Soviet Union, Russia, and they're going, Carrie, don't these people see what the hell's going on? And their son works for the federal government, and he's now being forced to be vaccinated. So, we're rallying people, getting lawyers together for these various groups. The Canadian Voters Association gives us pretty good clout to use those numbers. We will be putting letters off to the board of directors for WestJet, for instance, because we have what called V3 power. So we have our voice, our vote, and one other important aspect that Canadians have, and that's their value as a consumer. We get to decide where we want to spend our money. And if organizations like WestJet are engaging in what I think is coercive, fascist conduct towards their employees, somebody needs to stand up and speak to them, and they need to be, pay a price if that's what they're going to do.
That actually sounded like really good political advocacy going on right there.
Yeah, that was a great interview. We had a lot of fun. Odessa interviewed Carrie Simpson on her show as well, and we had a lot of fun with Carrie. She's a very intelligent woman who's had a lot of experience in the political arena. So as kind of two newbies, because I've never been involved in politics, it's been something I've just not been interested in at all, especially Canadian politics. We're learning a lot from a lot of the people that have been involved for a long time. So it's been very, very educational for us.
With respect, you got 4 weeks to become experts.
I guess so.
Our show really, we're not political as a couple. I don't even think I've ever voted. It's only once Trudeau called this snap election, I was like, nothing else matters right now. We need to figure this out. So I've kind of taken a break from just exposing all of the corruption. Everyone else is doing it now anyways, and I'm just trying to organize.
That goes into my final 2 questions. First thing is a quiet aside that I should have asked about before, but never did until now. You guys are married, right?
Yep.
We are, yes.
You have several children.
He has 2 and I have 2.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
And you've already told me basically the most important project you're working on now. And why it's important, but I'm hoping we can delve into that just a little bit more.
What are you working on?
You're working on the election.
So it's funny. I've chatted with Wayne from What's Up Canada. I've chatted with you, Chuck. I think you saw me cry the other day. Were you on the one where I started crying? I can't remember.
I don't know. I've been on 3 of the Librti Canada calls over the last couple of days. I think one call I cried on.
And I've talked to Dan Dix, I've talked to Dre from Rebel, I've talked to a bunch of people. They're like, Odessa, as a journalist, you aren't really supposed to try to persuade people what to do and vote. You're just supposed to report on things. And I said, I just out corruption and I'd say what I think. I don't need to be called a journalist. I need to help fix things. So I am telling all my viewers, whether they like it or not, I told them you can turn me off for the next 30 days if you want and come back when the election's over and I start doing my show again. We have to vote for PPC because I already know that O'Toole will let the passports go through. It's not true what he's saying that he won't mandate it because there's a leaked memo that has come down through the channels to the volunteers of the Conservative Party saying, don't worry that I'm saying, while running, I won't mandate the passport because the provinces are going to do it for me. And these 3 volunteers said, oh my gosh, and they jetted over to the PPC to help them. So the reason I'm telling everyone to vote PPC is Maxime doesn't want the lockdowns. He doesn't want the masks on the kids. He doesn't want forced any medical interventions. He's not okay with open borders to the point where it's out of control while we're in debt. Smart immigration, right? And so because I want to see my children not given an experimental potion and not masked for the rest of their life and not turned into a tyrannical communist country, I'm begging everyone, let's get PPC some seats. And so I guess I'm not a journalist. I'm
a commentator.
I'm a YouTuber.
You are a provider of actionable and important information. Does that sound fair?
Yeah.
I think so too. Yeah. The last couple of, she's done a really great job, I think, of gathering some people together as well. She just finished an amazing episode with 7 different PPC candidates. It was awesome. There was all 8 of them in the live stream, and it was such an energetic and hopeful interview session, mastermind. It was incredibly powerful, and you're doing something similar next week with a bunch of YouTubers as well. So I think this is really important and something really fun to do is getting a lot of these voices in the movement together, hearing different perspectives, different ideas, different sides. We've got our perspectives, we've got our opinions. There are opinions. They're not right or wrong. You may or may not agree with them. I think that's kind of the beauty of being a Canadian is we can believe different things. as long as we're fighting for the same values, the same principles.
No, I agree 100%. One final question. How do people find you online? How do they connect with you? Is it all through Librti.com, or are there other methods to get a hold of you?
You know, they may as well go straight to Librti.com/Odessa to see my shows, because I get censored all the time. So if you just want, they're not live there, I have to upload them. I am on Facebook. You can follow me on Facebook. But when you say get in touch with me, if somebody really wants to get in touch with me, they can do libertytalkcanada@gmail.com. Otherwise, follow me on Facebook. I just got kicked off YouTube again. So I say just go straight to Librti.com.
Yeah, Odessa Orlowicz on Facebook, and on YouTube, Librti Talk with Odessa on YouTube. But again, those may or may not last. We do actually have a website for you, libertytalkcanada.ca, but it's not quite finished. It is up, it is live.
Don't tell anyone, because
it's
like
it hasn't been updated yet.
It's videos from literally 8 months ago.
Yeah, we still need to add videos and all that kind of stuff. So that will be up eventually. But yeah, liberty.com/Odessa is the surefire way to follow her and her content, and you'll be linked to the other content that she posts on her other platforms. And then subscribe, become a member, become a free member at liberty.com, and you'll stay up to date with a lot of information. Our members share, the best, hottest, most relevant information in the newsfeed, and you get to control that newsfeed too, based on your preferences. So that's really, just a great place to connect and communicate and get connected with other organizations, other influencers, and other great content.
And the great thing about Librti.com, make sure you know how to spell it, Librti, is that it's one place for everybody who knows something's not right now to unite and find each other in Canada. And so you're not surfing through this. Like, there's one place to show articles and have people who are like mine saying this is insanity. And so if you want to be part of a community that's awake to the corruption, we're the place to go.
I would tend to agree. You guys are wonderful and fun to talk with. I thank you very much, Norb and Odessa. And my name is Chuck Black. This is the Sixth Estate. And we were speaking with Norbert and Odessa Orlowicz, the owners and administrators of the Librti Network at liberty.com. Now, that's it for tonight. The show was directed by Ed Jamsick, using StreamYards, with an intro and extra segment compiled by Angela Argentina. And during the week, I edit the Freedom Forum news website at freedomforumcanada.com. And if you'd like to contribute to our production, I'd also encourage you to go over to Librti. Don't get me wrong here. But if you'd like to contribute to Freedom Forum, I would encourage you to please visit our fundraising page at freedomforumcanada.com/fund_raising. And that's all for tonight. Ed, can you play the extra?
Thanks, guys.
Hello, my name is Mike Bayer. I'm currently working in Toronto, Canada as an independent investigative journalist with Free Speech Media.
Would you mind explaining how you helped them and what it is that you did for my colleagues and friends? Escape Chinata.
You are watching Carrot Vision.